Okay, guys, we have a fresh article that's been dropped by TV Insider. And this one, I'm going to read the title first. Gypsy Rose Blanchard drops big news about Ken Urker relationship. And I have not read this yet, so this came out yesterday morning. And, let's move on and see what this says. Gypsy Rose Blanchard is taking the next step in her relationship with Ken Urker following the completion of her parole. The last 6 months, my daughter Aurora and I have been going back and forth between Ken's house in New Orleans and my home here with my parents. And so, it's like we've been ping-ponging back and forth, Blanchard shared on the Monday, June 30th episode of Tori Spelling's Misspelling podcast. Boy, that was something else. I'm going to do a full reaction to that podcast, by the way. I just have to, go through it thoroughly because I don't want to leave a stone unturned on that monstrosity of a podcast. But anyways, continuing. But now this week, I can move in with Ken and we could be a full-time family. Okay, that's great. I think she was breaking all the rules with parole anyway, considering that they let her, reach out to minors, not purchase, or they let her get away with purchasing really dangerous, harsh chemicals without a proper licensing or proper credentials. They let her release medical information about her ex-husband to over 9.5 million people. I'm pretty sure parole is just like this whole celebration after parole thing is more of an act because, she's been getting away with probably all of this that we've seen post-parole, all the drunken, embarrassing stuff that she decides to record and release. That's a wonderful first thing to be posting after parole, especially when you know your daughter's gonna grow up at some point and see all this. So congratulations, Gypsy. You've done it again. Anyway, continuing. Blanchard explained that while on parole, she was allowed to leave the state, provided she obtained approval from her parole officer 2 weeks in advance. I'm pretty sure getting approval was probably a text message. Probably wasn't much effort. Being off parole, we can go on vacation anywhere, have no restrictions. I mean, she had no problem doing that anyway. She went to Jazz Fest, she went to Disney World, she went to, plus right when she got out of prison, even with Ryan, she was doing talk show circuits in Los Angeles, New York City. I mean, what do you mean now you can go on vacation? You've basically been on a permanent vacation since you got out of prison. Now we can go on vacation. Listen to this crap. Anyways. So, next month, we are going on vacation, and I cannot wait. We are going to the beach. I mean, again, she's done stuff like this since being on parole. And since she got out of prison. I love how she's acting like this is somehow new. It's like, what? You don't have to send a text message to some random person at the parole office now. Oh, no. That's so difficult. What a change. What a monumental change in your, in your lifestyle. I'm pretty sure they were just as effective as the justice system was. Not effective at all, because they let you get away with aplenty. And we all witnessed it. Gypsy Rose was found guilty of second-degree murder for the 2015 death of her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard, and was sentenced to 10 years behind bars, blah, blah, blah. After serving 8.5, she was released in December 2020. They officially ended her parole last week. Okay, stuff we already know. Let's move on. Gypsy Rose began dating Urker after her 2024 divorce from her ex-husband, Ryan Anderson. Well, no. That's a very missing piece. That's just one piece of the timeline, and they're missing a whole lot because first of all, I fully believe that she was still corresponding with Ken even when she was with Ryan, even just on a cordial dating basis, even before they got married. I guarantee there was probably a talk with Ken. This is what I picture. I can picture like when she had that closure phone call with Ken, the one that she lied about when she said she talked to him 3 weeks ago and they were 12 days away from getting married in prison. I think it wasn't for closure. It was sort of like Gypsy basically telling Ken, I'm about to get married to Ryan. Are you sure you don't want to take me back now? Kind of thing. I think it was more of an ultimatum for Ken. Are you sure you don't want me to do this? Kind of thing. If you want me, come get me now. And, at that point, I think Ken was still, at least had some common sense. And he also didn't know what kind of clout he was going to receive at that time. But had he known, I'm pretty sure he would have tried getting her back before Ryan and her got married. But for me, like I said this before, just the lying about that alone, just it's like saying that, I haven't talked to Ken in months, changes from that to, oh, we spoke 3 weeks ago and I lied about it. It's like, that would have been cut off for me right there. No marriage would have gone forward for me. You know what I mean? But again, I wasn't under Gypsy's spell like Ryan is, so I understand the experience factors kind of differ between me and him. But then again, I'm not the type of guy that would be attracted to somebody like Gypsy Rose Blanchard regardless. So, you know, there's just that. I will always scrutinize both men when it comes to the whole aspect of why somebody would want to be with somebody like that in the first place. But, you know, I've made videos about that, and, you know, for the most part, I've always said I've liked Ryan. He was very sincere. He has a good, you know, he's got a good life going for himself, and I thought, you know, that he would have been a good influence and would have been a good partner for Gypsy, as much as I don't wish anything, you know, good or bad for her. But then again, it's like, you know, I was more concerned about Ryan in that aspect than Gypsy. I'm just like, yeah, what kind of hell is he gonna go through? That was more what was in my head, and I knew it was gonna go over badly, but I didn't know it was gonna be this bad. It's like, wow. Like, you know, just the level of betrayal and how quick it happened is, like, you know, something that just blew my mind, like I said. So, yeah, the couple announced they were expecting their first child in July 2024, and Gypsy gave birth to their daughter in December that year. All right, so there's recapping stuff, again, that we already know. Moving on. When are you and Ken gonna get married? Tori Spelling asked Gypsy Rose on the podcast, to which she replied, I don't know. Okay. Anyway, Gypsy Rose recalled how Urker went shopping for an engagement ring on the season 2 finale of Gypsy Rose Life After the Lockup, but said, he hasn't told me if he got a ring or if he didn't get a ring. You know what's weird about that, though? It's like in that same article that basically wrote something like this, that was citing that whole thing, that tabloid said that Ken basically said, oh, I'm going to propose to her when she's a real free woman on parole. Like, you know, I criticized him for, like, dude, that's not how a engagement works. That's not how a proposal works. It's like, you know, you're supposed to have like an element of surprise in that. Maybe you could drop a hint or two, like, hey, hon, you know, get dressed really nice. We're gonna go out for, you know, you make like a bunch of maneuvers that it looks like, you know, something special is gonna happen, and, you know, you're leading the person up to something, and they can kind of get a hint as to what's coming. But to outright tell a tabloid like the day and the time and the reason you're gonna propose, it's like, that's not really how a proposal works. A proposal is supposed to at least have some element of surprise involved, and even if the other person senses you're going to do it, you don't tell them how, where, when, why, and give all the details out. So I'm just like, Ken, again, you suck at this. It's like you were not the biggest romantic I've ever witnessed. So, you know, just saying, from man to man, it's like, you know, you could have at least kept some element of surprise in there. But you want to know, it's Gypsy Rose. I can understand not wanting to put much effort into going out of your way for her. Totally get that. But, you know, I'm just saying, if you were trying to, like, you know, be like, if you're trying to appear as some, like, you know, white knight in shining armor in this situation, you failed, buddy. Just saying. Alright, so where were we at? Okay, she added, he's been so vague about it. No, he specifically stated when and where he was going to do it. No vague about it. No vagueness about it. And so, part of me is hoping that maybe he will when we're on vacation, but I don't know. Okay. Again, there's a non-disclosure agreement that Ken has, so who knows, like, if she's just basically trying to throw everybody off right now. Maybe they're already engaged. I can't confirm that, but some of my fellow content creator counterparts and people that follow me constantly drop into the DMs of news and things that they've heard. And again, unless I have like a verified, credible source, I don't like to put anything out there. And if I do, I will let you know if it's speculation or if it's a rumor or just something I heard. I like to try to be as accurate as possible. But anyways, Spelling went on to ask the reality star, okay. No, she's not really a star. The ratings say otherwise. If she was hesitant to wed Urker following her divorce from Anderson. No, I don't think she was. I'm gonna say no on her behalf, because you want to know what? She looked a little bit irked, not to, you know, pun completely intended, when she was in her divorce process, or at least the last part of it. And I remember Ken said something to the effect of, "Look, good, you're single now, like marital status single, not like single as in not having a boyfriend or spouse or partner or something like that, but just not in marital status. Like, she's not tied down in a marriage certificate anymore. That was the context, but she looked a little rattled by that comment. It's like you almost kind of had the feeling like she wanted to go from one end of the courthouse to divorce and then go straight to the other end of the courthouse to marry somebody else, marry the adulterer. Marry the affair. It's like, and anytime, again, it's like, I want to mention that, like, when has somebody marrying the person they committed adultery with ever gone down well? When has it ever ended well, or when has it ever, made it to eternal bliss, or, had some nice fairy tale ending? Usually when you marry the person you committed infidelity with, it usually doesn't come back at you very well, karma-wise. So usually the person you end up marrying that you committed adultery with, they usually do something either the same or similar or worse to you. Just going by life experience and what I've seen from the outside looking in, as well as own experiences. Like, I've never cheated on anybody personally, but again, more outside looking in, I have been cheated on before, and that one person, as was years ago, her karma was not very good at that, and I had nothing to do with the karma. It was like basically like how she became over the next couple of years. It didn't go well for her. I'm not saying it was all because of bad karma due to that situation, but I'm just saying usually when something like that happens and you get together under these kind of circumstances, they had the baby together while she was married to somebody else. It's just got bad juju surrounding the entire situation, whether it be the baby, the prospect of possible marriage, just whatever it is. It's plagued by like a curse at this point, the curse of rampant adultery within 10 weeks of being released from prison after you gave your vows and signed a marriage certificate to somebody else. But again, that's just my little old opinion. That's about it. So anyways, Spelling went on to ask the reality star if she was hesitant to wed following her divorce. According to Gypsy, there's a big difference between the two relationships. Yeah, we know. You had Ryan pretty much wrapped around your little finger, and you have a power struggle with Ken that keeps you interested because you like the drama, you like the chase. You kind of like that feeling of, well, I don't know if you like it. Maybe it's actually peeing you off behind the scenes. But regardless, it's keeping you interested because I think this is the first time that we've seen from the outside looking in, maybe with the exception of Dan Glidewell to an extent, that this man was able to escape your clutches. This man was able to say bye-bye and had the power and the spine to walk away. And I think that intrigued you. And I think it still does. And, that's why you were crying about this specific topic in front of your couples counseling. Because it's like you were trying to basically ask the counselor, like, how do I put a hex on him to make sure he doesn't leave again? It's like, I've already baby trapped him. It's like, and he's already still putting up these walls and boundaries. It's like, so how do I, guarantee that he's never going to leave? How do I put his man jewels into a jar, basically? I love watching this power dynamic play out. It's one of the most fascinating things to watch, especially watching Gypsy absolutely have her brain short circuit over the whole thing. But that's just my personal enjoyment. Anyways, moving on. What I learned in my first marriage is that, I understand that there's going to be times that will be kind of dull. I guess that's a strange way of putting it, Gypsy, but okay. And it's not so much about staying in the honeymoon phase. Yeah, I don't know what phase you would call it with Gypsy, but I guarantee the honeymoon part of that wouldn't last very long, at least on the male side of things. Gypsy Rose shared, it's about looking at the relationship in its entirety as, hey, this is our family. We have to look at it as if there's no out. Oh, it's a little bit scary. What are the consequences if Ken wants out? See, that's the part I've always feared as far as, his behalf goes. But, again, it's just like the same kind of thing I'm asking Ryan, or that I've asked Ryan in the past. It's just like, what outcome were you expecting with somebody like Gypsy Rose, who is a self-admitted pathological liar that not only could tell a lie at the drop of a hat, but did so without a conscience? Her words. her exact words, and that's just on top of her having the second-degree murder on her record, and even though it was premeditated for over 2 years and she groomed a mentally disabled man that was on permanent disability to do it, but, again, I could only say, what kind of outcome are you expecting, especially under the circumstances of not only her being a really terrible person that's very hazardous, very impulsive, very narcissistic, but also going into this relationship knowing that it was based on rampant adultery within less than 90 days of her being released from prison. And again, only they know for the most part, and I think we know to an extent, that they were still communicating while she was getting married, while she was married, obviously, into everything that transpired, basically, not even 3 months after she got released, and, after Ryan made all those sacrifices that he needed to make. So, again, I can only ask Mr. Urker what his expectations of the outcome would be going into a situation with that kind of bad juju attached to it, with a person like Gypsy Rose Blanchard, who has, again, some of the most rampant narcissistic tendencies and some of the most horrible personality traits that I think I could see in any person, let alone a partner or a woman, especially when it comes to the manipulation factor and the obsession factor. She is again, I put her up there with some of the worst when it comes to her ability and her depravity of her mind. A lot of people just kind of look at her as she's just another crazy girl. I think it goes far beyond that for her. I think she's got some of the characteristics of some of the serial unalivers kind of thing, and I know that sounds a little bit morbid, and that sounds maybe a little bit hyperbolic, but my opinion of Gypsy Rose is is probably a little bit more above the threshold of somebody else that doesn't support her. It rattles me to the core personally that our justice system has allowed somebody as dangerous and as manipulative as her to be out in the free world unrestricted, especially most times that I've read and most experiences that I've heard about, most of the people that come out of prison, especially for a violent crime, usually end up reoffending. I think in the U.S. it's within the highest demographic is within 3 years they end up reoffending. And most of the time, this is especially because I know some people that have been to prison, they don't learn rehabilitation factors unless that's a journey they want to take, an inward journey. Usually they learn to become a better con artist and a better criminal, and then they come out, and that's usually one of the factors of why they reoffend. Now, and if we've witnessed anything, it's that there's been no rehabilitation factors for Gypsy Rose Blanchard. She's done absolutely nothing to redeem herself. She's done nothing to better herself. Again, like I said in one of my last couple of videos, I believe she's gotten worse. This was in one of my live streams, actually. I believe she has gotten significantly worse than what we saw in that interrogation room after she was brought in, after being arrested at Nick's house. Except now, I think she has more experience, and she's a lot more calculated, as if she wasn't before, when it comes to, making her maneuvers and being able to recruit people onto her narratives and onto her side, and how she views other people. I mean, we've watched her put her own friends up to doxing people, calling their jobs, trying to get their well-being tampered with, trying to have them fired from their jobs, doxing them, ruining their lives in some way, because simply we're telling the truth, and the truth hurts for her. If you don't go along with her narratives, if you don't toe exactly what she wants narrative-wise, then you are the enemy to her. It's all black and white to her. There's no gray area in any of this. Even when somebody like Ethan, that reported on, everyone knows Ethan Living Life. Yeah, my boy Ethan just reported on the Billboard story, just nonchalantly, without bias, because that's what he does. He's a journalist. He reports both sides of the equation. Right there, she sent a bunch of those friends that she hangs out with, and they're like, oh, they tried to expose him because he took a picture with Gypsy Rose when she did the book signing event, and he covered that event in the same, unbiased manner. And they thought like, oh, well, now he's talking trash. It's like, he didn't talk trash about her. He just simply said there was a protest going on. There was a billboard and some possible people in Barney costumes walking around. And, just that the event was simply taking place and that he was going to keep people informed with the developments. He did not opine on it, on whether he agreed or disagreed with it. And this is kind of what Gypsy and company did to the Billboard company. Since they could not censor free speech on their behalf, on Gypsy's behalf, basically. And this is after Bree has said 150 times on the same video that Gypsy didn't give an F about any of this. No, she gave an F to the point that she tried to get this whole thing shut down. And when that failed, well, first she tried to manufacture, or at least through Ken's profile, that there was a statement saying that they were going to take it down. But then the company had to basically come out and put out their own statement and say, well, no, that's not true. We don't take down anything. We are just a service that is based on the aspect of free speech. We don't agree nor disagree or endorse or not endorse anything that we put up there. We're just the messengers. You put the message up there and we just put it on the screen. So, but again, in the eyes of Gypsy and company, if that company didn't take it down at their request and at their demand, they are the enemy. And a couple of jobs were lost, and some financial, attachments were seized, I guess you could say, for the company. But you want to know what? We, as content creators, have supported them. They started a GoFundMe. They're going to make back what they lost and then some. So I'm glad that that's going to backfire for Gypsy and company as well. But it just goes to show, and it gives an example of, I believe Gypsy is far more dangerous than most people, estimate. If you guys could take a look inside my head, or I can sit here and talk about this all day, there's some quiet parts I'm not saying out loud because my outlook of her and how much danger I think she is to the general public is extremely high. It's like one of the highest up there. It's like letting a tiger out into, children's park or something. It's not a safe place, regardless. But anyways, let's keep reading. She continued, in this relationship, we have a child together. Yeah, so basically she's saying, I baby trapped you, haha. So it's like, we have a family. We have that love. Well, at least she thinks so. We have stood through thick and thin of this last year and a half of going through so much. I mean, mostly the stuff you put Ryan through, and then you got the backlash you very much deserved. So, again, most of what you went through, quote unquote, was self-inflicted and based on your own actions, Gypsy. But, you're not going to see it that way because you're always the victim. So I think we have what it takes. Now it's just kind of about realizing what we need to do to get there. Yeah, again, that sounds nice and dandy, but to me, every time I'm reading stuff like this, it just screams Chat GPT to me. And I swear to God, since she discovered Chat GPT, it's like, she can't stop using that. As for whether Gypsy Rose would have stayed with Anderson if not for Urker, she says, I don't think so. Ken was the catalyst that helped me to give me the courage to say, hey, this relationship, this marriage is not where my heart is. Yeah, because Ryan was just something you fell back on. You didn't actually love him. And I don't know how long it would have taken me to pluck up the courage. Okay. Had it not been for Ken. All right, sure. I'm sure that was it. I'm sure Ken was the one that just gave it. No, you came back because Ken made himself available to you. That's it. That was your motivation. It's just like Ken was number one and Ryan was your backup. Ryan was maybe your rebound, in all things. And again, if it wasn't Ryan, it would have been someone else. She probably, who knows how many men she had lined up, as candidates, so, had one dropped off. Again, she has them set up like a conveyor belt, I'm pretty sure. But at the end of the day, I still would see myself ending the marriage regardless, referring to Ryan. And again, I hope Ryan really does heal in wholly, without having to have this notion in his head that, oh, if only her and Ken split up or break up, she'll come right back. Because he's said that before in his live streams. He's just like, oh yeah, if they break up, she'll come right back. She'll come right back. And I think that's one of the things in his head that he can't let go of right now, is the fact that if Ken just wasn't here, and everything would be fine. It's like not even taking into account that it's Gypsy that, made all of this happen. It's Gypsy that chose to make all these maneuvers, It's just like Ken was just, a means to an end. And then, or Ryan was rather, and then, Ken, that's only just like a plot device in this. Regardless, it's like she's just going to use you as some backup emotional pet or unofficial therapist or something. She's even tried doing that while she's with Ken. It's like, so I don't get it. It's just like she knows you're gonna validate that Ryan and you are gonna validate her emotionally whether you're with her or not. So, I can only continue to give you the best advice and say, stop validating her. It's only just feeding her ego. There's not going to be any reciprocation in this. There's no real feelings for you in this. And I think all of her actions have demonstrated that. You need to go by her actions and stop listening to the stupid text messages. I'm pretty sure now that she's getting all glugged every night that she's probably, drunk texting him and who knows what else, texting him in the middle of the night, all kinds of stuff that's probably playing with his head now that the alcohol is firing on all cylinders. But, again, it's just like, I hope Ryan heals, and he's well known. I guarantee has the ability, and I guarantee he's probably had the proposition more than once to go on a date with another girl, find another woman, or, connect with somebody else. And hopefully he's not just limiting himself simply because he still has it in his head that Gypsy's going to come back and Ken's the only thing standing in the way. No, this is Gypsy. It's not a Ken thing. It's a Gypsy thing, and I hope he sees that soon. Well, that's that, and sorry I went on so many rambles during that, but the article wasn't very long, so I figured I would opine on the points that were made there, and then just kind of go from there and see what you guys think about it. So, yeah, this was released yesterday morning, and it didn't tell us too much that we already didn't know, but there's some stuff in there I'm pretty sure that hasn't been revealed, again, because there's a non-disclosure agreement in place. But what do you guys think about this article? What do you think of the prospects of her and Ken officially moving in together, even though I don't think she followed the rules of parole anyway, So, I don't know. That's all I really have to say about it. If you guys want to talk about this or have any questions for me regarding any of her current status, regarding her being off parole, her and Ken moving in together, and there's not much I guess content regarding the baby. The whole mommy vlogger thing just kind of dissipated into thin air all of a sudden. Now she's a go out and act belligerently drunk blogger now or something. I don't know. You just never know what you're gonna get with her, but you're gonna get something. You're gonna get something. Anyways, you guys take it easy. Let me know what you think in the comments about this interesting piece.